So let me introduce today's topic, which is Pick Vision, Voice, and Scanning, the next evolution of mobile technology in the DC. My name is Ron Schrieffer. I'm with Lucas Systems. I'll be hosting and moderating the Q&A, but our presenters today are Ron Cabrera, EVP and CMO of Lucas Systems, and Krishna Venkatasamy, CTO of Lucas Systems. So let me turn it over to Ron.
Ron, thank you, and thanks everyone for attending. This is one of the kind of exciting works that I like to get involved with because it's really helping to demystify some of the technology that's out there. And being a technology provider, we always get excited about new and exciting things. And I know customers and prospects that we talk to really want to know what's going on out in the marketplace. What are we seeing? And not only what is it, but how does it all fit together? So as we tried to think about what some of the key questions we wanted to answer during this session, I came up with these four. And really, our smart glass is ready for prime time. So we'll talk in a little more detail about what they are and where they are. Is Vision picking a thing? Why is Android replacing Windows? And what's next in mobile technology? So the whole concept of the discussion, I think, kind of goes down to two different streams. One is a evolution of hardware, and hardware plays into our productivity and overall performance in the workflow. And the second one is the underpinning operating systems that run those and what's happening in those. So we want to drill in a little bit to that, and they really go hand in hand, as you're going to see as we continue to walk through some of the presentation here today. But first of all, let's start with, what are smart glasses? So if you look at the little pictures we have displayed on the WebEx now, there's a variety of different styles and companies that are positioning themselves in this type of technology. And we've given you a few different examples here of what the market is seeing right now. So if you look at the top left-hand side, that's the Intel Recon technology. As that small arm, you can kind of see it over the person's right eye that displays in the user's field of vision when they look down at it to see the screen. You look on the far right-hand side, that's the Microsoft HoloLens. And then that bottom right glass is kind of a hybrid in between that has the capability to display on a display element. So into the other parts, I thought it'd be good for us to understand a little bit more of these technologies around glass, and then we're going to tie it back as we continue the dialogue. But with that, I'll turn it over to Krishna now, and he'll share with some of the technologies and the pros and cons associated with the glass.
Thanks, Ron. So, as mentioned, these are three different types of, if you will, smart glasses. Let me walk you through some of the pros and cons and the differences between them. Before I do that, I want to let you know that Lucas has been working with wearable technologies since its inception, more with Google Glass from the time it was introduced 4 years ago. We've been investigating how to use the technology and how applicable our software is on each of these platforms. This is just a sampling of those smart glasses, right? So the technology itself, since its inception from Google Glass and the latest Intel Recons and the Vuzix and so forth, there are a number of device manufacturers that have come out with smart glasses. The technology has been maturing, it continues to mature, and is certainly showing promise in the solutions that we're providing. It's providing the ability to leverage a heads-up display with hands-free operations, so it's very applicable to the solutions that we've been providing to the market, and we continue to evolve those solutions to take advantage of these new smart glass and wearable technologies. The technology, these glasses themselves are maturing. Along with those glasses, we're also seeing that the best way to leverage these glasses is starting to shape up to their voice input and voice output. In other words, the way to control these smart devices is through voice commands. So nicely fits with what Lucas has been doing over the last 20 years to take the best of our speech recognition technology and incorporate that into a appropriate smart glass technology and bring the right solution to the market, right? We'll talk more about this as we go further. Said that as we experience each of these devices, seeing that the devices are maturing in areas like better support for audio input-output, support for Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, increased battery capability. We're seeing a dearth of capabilities to truly put this glass into production in the walls. Because of the usability of the glasses themselves, not a vendor, a glass vendor, but each of the glasses that we've extensively worked with, tested, seem to have shortcomings, whether it may be jawing of the display itself, to the ability for a device to run a full shift. Battery packs are still not capable of doing that. So the battery technology in these devices has to mature. More what we're seeing is the glasses don't have the capability to do functions like scanning, for instance. You can capture images, but it's not sufficiently fast enough to capture those barcodes through the cameras on these glasses quickly and accurately. And we're continuing to look at various software techniques to improve them as the hardware continues to evolve, right? So those are shortcomings, and as I said, we continue to evolve our software to try and catch up with the hardware, and also try and give feedback to these hardware manufacturers as they evolve their technologies. So some of the smart glass technologies themselves, there are different types, and I'm sure you've all heard about the different smart glass technologies. When I say technology, there's basically heads-up display, which is to take a display that is on a device, maybe a rugged device, or a tablet, or a smartphone, if you will, and we'll talk more about smartphones and how Lucas has been enabling that in a little bit here. Each of these displays and showing it in a heads-up display. So in other words, there are devices, heads-up display or smart glasses that can provide a vision that's comparable, or it has the same ratio of a tablet in front of a person's eyes. So one kind of technology. Second one is augmenting the display of the vision with more information. Like the picture that you see to your left here, that's a 737 cockpit with heads-up display that has been in use for decades now. So virtual reality, the picture on the right is a virtual reality in a Pokemon Go kind of game. So that's basically taking the person who's experiencing this technology into a virtual world. We've tried to apply the use cases that for warehouses using virtual reality, and we do not believe that technology is applicable and ready for the warehouses. So we're not working with virtual reality at this point, and focusing our energy on heads-up display and augmenting reality. Now, what we've also found is it is sufficient to take an application that was running on a hand device screen and use that screen in a heads-up display or an augmented reality kind of an application. Those screens and information that help the person doing the job to become more productive or more accurate. If we all take a step back and think about why we're looking at these technologies, it is at the end of the day to help improve the person who's doing their job, do their job better, faster, and more accurately. And we don't believe that the applications as they are designed for a device, a handheld device, can run as it is in a heads-up display or augmented reality kind of a technology. So what we're doing is, at Lucas, what we're doing is to take our core platform and to understand how we need to apply these technologies, use the right software and information that the person needs when they're doing their job. So we focus a lot on usability and user interface at Lucas, and this is another area where we're focusing our energies on to ensure that as we bring a head display or augmented reality devices to the warehouse, we have the right software to ensure that the processes are properly enabled and the users are effectively taking advantage of the information we're providing to them. So key to this, to software, is to leverage the right technologies, the right modes of providing information to the user and getting data back from the user, right? So let's look at what those, how a vision picking technology can actually change the dynamic, the landscape of a warehouse, and what it would take to do that. And that's what we're focused on at Lucas. So as you know, the users require information. Some information needs to be provided in a textual manner, meaning as a text. For instance, it would be great to show to the person who's doing a picking function, a selection function, the units of measure that they are asked to pick as text, is of display or augmented vision, right? To give them that additional information as to what to pick. Similarly, it's useful to provide the user how many units to pick using voice. You provide that in a text, but I believe voice is more applicable for information. Similarly, providing an image, meaning a product that is rarely picked. So you're an e-commerce company shipping thousands of SKUs, and it's hard for the picker to go find the right product. It is very useful to show an image of that product they're picking. It would be great to show that image in the right place when picking the product. You don't want to flash it in front of their eyes. If you're on a heads-up display or on an augmented reality kind of a technology, you want to show that image in the right spot so it's not impeding the vision of the person who's doing the job and yet enabling them to do what they need to do effectively. And that's what we focus on. Similarly, when we're getting it back from the person who's doing the job, I mentioned earlier, we're incorporating all modes of input through this platform. It be scanning, and scanning has to be accurate, quick, and the right feedback has to be provided to the user when they perform the scanning operation. And so we're ensuring that those capabilities are properly incorporated. Similarly, speech recognition. The smart glasses and wearable technologies have incorporated good microphone and speakers. However, they're not placed in the right spots, so the accuracy of recognition isn't what it needs to be effectively used in the warehouse. So we're helping these manufacturers to fine-tune those where the microphone and the speakers are placed on these devices, and also ensuring that the application can compensate for any shortcomings in these technologies. So we continue to improve our recognition capabilities to take advantage of the mic and the boom that these devices come out with. So the benefit is we're focusing a lot of our energy to not just take the software we have and throw it on a heads-up display or a smart glass device. We're focusing our energies to ensure that we are using technology in the right way and our software platform is properly enabled to take advantage of it. Right?
Great, super. So we've been talking a lot about the evolution of hardware. Thank you, Krishna, for going into that, and hopefully that gives everyone a kind of a level set on that type of technology. But longer view and answer the last question that we kind of posed is, where's all of this leading? Where is this taking us to? How do we incorporate innovative, thoughtful technology that is available today, maybe not in the exact form that we need or the exact capabilities that we need, and we'll get to as we move the calendar forward. So if we look at first talk about hardware evolution, because it didn't come out of the blue that now we have glass. This evolution has been happening for years and years now, and our history is such that in the early 2000s we went from only running on proprietary hardware to working with manufacturers of mobile computers to help make their technology sufficient to run our voice application to be able to give our customers a choice. And why is that important? Well, that's important because we don't sell the glass. We don't sell the mobile computers. We enable their technology to drive business value to the customers that we sell our technology to. So we don't have a vested interest if one manufacturer over another manufacturer. However, we do want to work with the ones that are in our eyes viewed as thought leaders or have the capabilities to get the technology into the marketplace that's going to help deliver the results that we're looking for our customers in the marketplace. So the big transformation happened with hardware, really with the transformation of smartphones coming into reality. We've been selling on smartphone technology now since 2014. All our technology now that we sell is on an Android platform, which is the second real evolution of what's going on in the marketplace. And there's some really compelling reasons coming up that we're going to talk about that will even pique more people's interest in this type of technology. But if you look at the bottom chart here where it talks about the evolution of where the operating systems have gone, with the announcement from Microsoft to end life and sunset its technology that runs on the mobile computers, that's creating this compelling event that is transitioning people to at least consider and think about how they transition over to other operating systems. And by far right now, the dominating operating system that we're seeing in the marketplace is the Android version. So Android, you think about smartphones, you think about watches, you think about glass, it goes hand in hand with Android, and I think that's why this is a really compelling opportunity to think about what it means to you and your organization to be able to adopt these technologies. The old myths of people are going to be making cell phone calls if you give them a smartphone. Well, no, you lock down the software. It can only do what you allow it to do. And we've been working with watch manufacturers to get the watches to be able to be sufficient to run applications on, and we can use those as a complement to our technology. And probably in the near future, we'll be able to use that as the full operating system. But we're waiting for the hardware providers to catch up with it. But look at the Zebras of the world. They're investing a lot of money in the Android version. We've got customers now contemplating going to the Zebra more ruggedized systems on their Android platform. So major manufacturers are really heeding the warning here and are helping to drive this transformation into distribution centers. So we can talk a little bit more about the sunset. So Chris, can you talk us through the implications of what the Windows sunset really means?
Sure. So let me start off by talking a little bit about the operating system, the Windows Compact Edition and mobile operating systems, and what happens when the support for those operating systems gets sunset by Microsoft. It also means the manufacturers are no longer manufacturers of devices that you buy with those operating systems no longer have the ability to support those devices. When we say support, we're specifically talking about fixes for those operating systems. You may not run into them. However, if there are security issues, intrusions, we've seen WannaCry, we came through Windows XP recently and create havoc across the world, right? So when you have such incidents occur, you cannot leave a loophole in your operating system. And when things happen, you're going to get the immediate support or support on the manufacturers or the operating system provider, right, in this case. Similarly, you're constantly buying peripheral devices, you're upgrading your networks, new networks come into play, require OS operating system level upgrades or enhancements to support those capabilities. You're going to get that once the operating system is sunset. So these are these are real mission-critical issues that an IT manager will lose their sleep over, and that's why we think that you should pay careful attention to choosing the devices that you are going to invest in, or have, if you have recently invested in, you need to think carefully on how you're going to address these issues in the operating system soon, so you don't run into intrusion, for instance, which is the biggest an enterprise has today. That's part of the problem. The second part is the applications. Over the last 15, 20 years, hundreds of applications have been written to run on a Microsoft operating system. What happens to those applications? There isn't a clear path as yet from Microsoft, or I suppose from the application vendors. So you need to start thinking about what it means to migrate those functionalities, the application functions, from the current operating system to the Android-based operating system, which is the de facto, as it's becoming de facto in enterprise. The operating system is, as you all have probably heard and seen, is the majority operating system in the consumer smartphone and any kind of wearable technologies in the world. Now, it is also being heavily adopted in the enterprises. Ron just mentioned Zebra. There are other enterprise hardware manufacturers that are adopting heavily Android operating system. The operating system itself has matured significantly over the last 4 years. Has better support for IT administrations, more security patches than the other operating systems. It has a big user, when I say user, IT community that's supporting it. So is there an issue, you can get quick fixes from the community, from the developer community. So we believe that technology, Android platform, is the to be in. You have to really be thinking about going there quickly, right? And so those are the key issues to consider, Ron, as you think about hardware.
Yep, great, thank you. And just to give you some visibility about kind of what this means, we put up a chart here of the end life of the Windows operating systems, the dates that are publicly announced by Microsoft, as well as some of those devices that are out there using these technologies. And Chris and I were just at a customer a few weeks ago where we talked about buying new hardware, and we said, do you realize the lifespan of that hardware, you probably are planning it to be 7-8 years, but the reality is the operating system goes end of life in 2.5. Are you aware of that? And they weren't. So I would encourage all of you to make sure that if you're buying some of these devices now, you understand the implications of the particular life cycle of it. Yes, you can run them outside of the end of life, but you create risks like we had talked about with the WannaCry virus. Just kind of wrap things up. I want to give us enough time for Q&A, but as we've talked about the overall technologies that are out in the marketplace, I just wanted to highlight the fact that this is really focusing on, in the grand scheme of a overall workflow for a typical picking step, this is the reading, the scanning, and the keyboard entry aspect of what we're talking about. But there's a broader view, and that's why we as an organization focus on a broader view of things, is how do we improve the overall workflow. And that's where we talk about optimizing different technologies in the workplace that are not just focused on the read, the scan, although those are very complementary to what we do, but how do we tackle big areas of opportunity such as travel. And if any of you have been on our dynamic work optimization webinars, you'll know where that is, and we'd be more than happy to have further discussions with you around that. But that's really the big nut. This is one that is an evolving technology, and we thought it was important to bring it to your attention, kind of how we view the world with the smart glass and other technologies going on. So with that, well, I'll let you open it up to see if there's any questions that anyone has that we can elaborate a little bit more on.
Great. Thank you, Ron. Right, so like I said at the beginning, we'll be doing the Q&A. You can type in your question in the Q&A box and send that to us, and we will take all questions. We have a few questions in the queue right now, so let's get right to those. First one, and probably should have thought about this when we were preparing the slide deck, is have you deployed any of these new wearable technologies? What's the state of deployment of these technologies?
Yeah, I think I talked a little bit about that, it, but from a smartphone standpoint, yes, we've got customers live operating on Android platforms all over the place, using watches to view different technology or different images in their workflow and their process. We've run some tests and trials with other type of technologies like glass, like RFID, and things like that. They're getting close. I think Krishna summarized the glass up a little bit. I think that's a little bit further along, but we're going to continue to evaluate that. And with the millennials coming more and more into the workplace and their adoption of smartphone technology, it's actually been an easy transition, and we see that continuing in the future.
Add to that point Ron made. So one of the, I think, opportunities for you as you look at this set of Windows and mobile operating system, is the applications that you've been running on your handheld devices, whether it's terminal emulation or an app that was built for your DC. This may be an opportunity to redesign it so to attract your millennial workforce who have lived with smartphones, right? Their life revolves around smartphones. You may want to think about how to do these applications so you can attract those kind of the labor force into your workforce.
Great. Okay. Here's a good question. If you have voice action, do you really need visual information at all? Where's visual information going to help?
So there are a number of places where vision is augmenting the vision is useful. A couple of areas where we've felt that it actually improves the productivity and accuracy of a person's in their job is around direction guidance within a warehouse. For instance, giving them cues on where they need to traverse if they're on a pallet jack before they start traversing. That helps. That makes it quicker, easier for the person doing their job. The other use case quickly is, we've looked at use cases where we're able to show ahead where the picks are for if the person is picking on a rack, so they can appropriately position themselves in front of the floor rack to reach all the picks within their reach. We are able to display such information in vision in either a heads-up display or augmenting their vision, and so that really helps improve the productivity of the person, right? So that's the focus that we have is to ensure that improves productivity.
Yeah, I would add just a little bit to that it's complements voice. It can't replace voice for a variety of reasons, and one, the productivity side, but secondarily the safety side. There's so many activities that you want to be able to not be distracted visually, and that's where voice is such a great complement to some of this technology. So we're excited to engage with some of these manufacturers.
And here's another question. Let me paraphrase this. So, So, are there other ways to improve the validation, to get 100% verification and validation of what someone's doing? I mean, what technologies can help in that area?
So for about 7-8 years now, at Lucas, we've been looking at various technologies to help improve location validation. That is to confirm the location of the pick without having to use a check string or scan the location ID. We've used RFID and readers and tags to validate that the person is reaching into the right location and picking the right product. We believe that's a very good application of RFID technology. With the advent of these wearable technologies, the compactness of the devices, the increased life of battery in each of these devices, we're starting to look and have found devices that can enable location validation through RFID reading the bracelet without having the person having to say anything. Right? So that's the technology we're focused on.
Great. Well, we're right up against 1:31, actually 1 minute over. Again, thank everyone for attending today's webinar. Like I said, we'll an email tomorrow with a replay of the webinar as well as a copy of the slide deck. If you do have any other questions, you can email it to the email address here or give us a call. or just respond to that email we will send out tomorrow. And again, thank you very much, and stay tuned for future webinars from Lucas Systems. Have a good day.
Thank you.